is a hateful supremacy movement based on the belief that women are disadvantaged as compared to men, that this is a societal problem and that it needs to be fixed.
By any means necessary.
You didn't exist. You don't exist. You're not there.
I would say that in the past, men and women both had certain weapons and we could use them. And I think now women have all the weapons in the society and men have no weapons at all. And they can't defend themselves. They can't fight for themselves. And on top, they're being ridiculed both by men and by society and by some women.
One women weapon, I think, is being a victim. I'm not proud of saying that.
It's the biggest weapon. Mm.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a woman and I'm not happy about saying that, but looking at women that I met, the story I've heard, it's so, it's just normal. It's okay to be a victim when you are a woman. But when you're a man, it's almost like a lack of masculinity nowadays if you admit that, well, this is what's happening in my house. And I think that's the big issue here.
Yeah, I mean, victimhood for women gets you power, it gets you support, and it gets you sympathy, and it entitles you to an awful lot of help from the state and charities. And nobody looks down on you, whereas male victims are, I do think it's changing. I think our attitudes are changing in society and we're becoming more aware that men and boys are victimized and more concerned about it. But I think there has been, like, you said about the party, Philip, that kind of, that just beggars belief that everybody would laugh at something like that. It's horrifying. And there are so many stories.
It's the wrong. Sorry, I think it's the wrong place. Like, men in public can't be vulnerable. I think we can predominantly be vulnerable one-on-one. So it would have been important for the father or for the brother or somebody to say, hey, let's have a beer later on. And then if you're just the two of you saying, okay, look, we need to talk about something here. Men can't public. It's too embarrassing for us.
There's a deep irony in the sense that women do have that kind of, victim power, and so do marginalized groups. Women obviously have it, most potently. And it's like they have that power because of how much we don't want to mistreat them. So there's a huge irony of the more they claim to be mistreated, the more we react, the more we prove that we don't want to mistreat them. It's like constantly seeing, two parallel worlds that don't quite meet up. And it reminds me of, there's a line in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where Indiana, he's in Berlin and he corners a Nazi woman who'd misled him for quite a while, and he puts his hands on her throat and he says to her, all I have to do is squeeze, and she replies, all I have to do is scream. And that kind of says a lot about the different powers the genders have. Yes, men, on the surface seem to be physically stronger, but like, as soon as women say they're in danger, all of society rises to meet that. So if you were going to look at it as a who's more powerful, it would be like men are physically stronger than women and society is physically stronger than men and women are in charge of society.
Yeah. Could I, because we've got Ava here, and I would love to hear more about her plan with the documentary. Can I ask a couple of questions about the documentary?
Of course, yes.
So of course I watched the trailer and it's super fascinating. What would you say is your main focus? Because men's issues are so wide, and I know that because of the backstory of your partner, I would assume, is it father's rights? Is it domestic mistreatment? What's your focus?
Yeah, my personal focus was more on father's rights. That's true. That's what got me into this. And most of my videos are about that. The first reason I wanted to make a documentary was the first thing that I wanted to do was give a voice to alienated fathers. But it grew bigger and bigger very quickly. So this documentary will represent a lot of different subjects that men have to endure. It's not just fathers' issues anymore. It's men that have been falsely accused or have been a victim of domestic violence as well. So you'll be hearing stories about men that are just victim of this female society. I think that's more of it's very, very, very wide.
The trailer to me looked a little bit like a thriller. And the music obviously helped with that. And the last 2 months, me and the group that I'm working with, GenderParityUK, we have been looking very closely on domestic abuse and the new domestic abuse bill here in the UK. And the more I looked into it, the more I discovered the mafia-like roots that are everywhere in our legal system, in everything. Women's Aid inform all the policies, and they get the money from the government, so everything is ring-fenced. And I know that you interviewed whistleblowers. How much did you, and I know you can't share all the whistleblower stuff, but did you get some really interesting and valid information? Because my organization, we were talking about that very thing. We said somebody needs to make a documentary about these systems that are running Women's Aid and all these things. So how many people did you talk to? How much did you hear?
I've interviewed a few whistleblowers up to now. Mm-hmm. And really, I knew that it was very bad, but I was shocked to say. I was shocked to hear what they were talking about. That's all the reason that I think the trailer looks more like a thriller. It's due to the music as well, but the things that you hear there are so extremely vile that at the moment, when I was starting the documentary, I knew that it was bad. I knew that these things were happening, but to hear that those organizations are trying to do this and that they're doing it intentionally to inflict pain on men for personal gain or for gain for their organization, it was really, really, really shocking. I didn't know it was this bad. So yes, it is. There's a lot to talk about, and I think that this documentary will really open up the eyes of a lot of people that haven't seen anything happening, as well as the people that have witnessed these things. They get a little bit more information on why, I think that is really important.
Have you spoken with Cassie J at all? You know, because obviously she comes from such a similar background in terms of filmmaking, and her Red Pill documentary was so pivotal in this movement. Is it something that you two are able to discuss?
I really wanted to talk to Cassie J about this because I have seen how she was treated as soon as she talked about making the Red Pill, because she obviously made documentaries before that were aimed on feminism or female problems. And as soon as she made the Red Pill, she got a lot of backlash from media and people around her. And I really wanted to talk to her about what the aftermath of the Red Pill. but I was not able to contact her as of today. I've tried a few times, but I could not get to speak with her. But I know that she's working on a new documentary at the moment, so quite busy, I think she will be. But I really, if in the future I'm able to speak with her, I would really love to hear more about this. Yes.
I'll see if I can help there.
I really hope you can, because it's definitely something that would be beneficial to both. I would definitely. I mean, would you consider your movie to be like almost a follow-up to the Red Pill? It's like the Red Pill is your starting point getting into this movement, and your movie seems darker, almost as if like, now that you're ready, now that you're red pilled, here's what it's really like.
Yes. That's what I think this documentary is going to be. The new analogy that is avoid. I think that I've written on my website as well that you need to be red pilled in order to see the black hole that is feminism, and that's why I think that if you see the red pill and you stop there, you know that things are happening to men. That's what you know when you've seen the red pill. And I think that I picked up there and moved forward. So I hope this is going to be the successor of the red pill. I think from the things that I've shot already, it's going to be the next step, yes.
I want to set up. I want to set up the Avoid Trailer Challenge, which is, can you watch this without wanting to donate? Go on, Philip, go on.
Yeah. I was wondering, because obviously you talk to whistleblowers on a, I would assume on a like smaller scale, like maybe from Women's Aid or something. I don't know what whistleblowers you have, but have you also looked into the UN? Because a lot of the policies that are being introduced into all these different countries. And before we started filming this, you, Ava, and I, we were in the Zoom meeting and we talked a little bit about the fact that the same things are happening in Germany and in the Netherlands and in the UK. It's happening everywhere at the same time. And a lot of that, I think, is coming from the UN, with, for example, the Istanbul Convention and the Violence Against Women's Acts. Do you know a little bit about that, and do you look at that as well?
Yes, there's going to be a part of in the documentary as well, because few of the whistleblowers are talking about that specific subject. They are talking about that because they saw also that, as what you said, it's happening in a lot of countries. They have this. What I said, the laws that they are, the bills that they are legislating are based on the Duluth model. Okay, so that's a starting point already. That is not right. But they. I've interviewed whistleblowers from various countries that give the same information, that also see that the things that happen to men are just as if they are given bullet points on how to destroy a man, how to get their money, how to be stronger, how to be stronger in without a man. So yes, there's going to be a part of that as well in the documentary, thanks to the whistleblowers. Yes.
Do you think that misandry is their ultimate goal, or is misandry just a tool they use to get something more?
Misandry? I'm sorry.
Yes, the hatred of men.
Sorry. Yes.
So do you think that they want like women to hate men and that's what their goal is, or do you think they use hating men to get money, to get power? Like, is it just a stepping stone?
for a lot of women, I think that they're using it, yes, because women are nowadays growing up with with hating men. They feel as if women are the most powerful, the most precious, the ones that need protection, the ones that are best in everything, and that causes misandry, obviously, to exist in these women, to exist in their thoughts and in the things that they are doing. So I think that I don't really know, because when I was talking with whistleblowers, I for example heard that women that are going to women's organizations to get help for themselves, even without any man hatred in their bodies, they get tips on how to get money, on how to be a single mother, with all kinds of aids for them, all kinds of special housing, and they are using this obviously for personal gain, and they don't care about men. So it's not really the starting point, doesn't have to be misandry. It's just that they are presented with something that is really very, very good to use. I'm not really sure if it starts with misandry. I think it leads to misandry at the very least.
I mean, I saw a book the other day that was called How to Date Men When You Hate Men. You know, and I thought to myself, like, if that was called How to Hate Women When You Hate Women, or sorry, How to Date Women When You Hate Women, it would be clearly marked as misogynistic. People would probably call it, like, you know, it's pickup artist. You know, it would be put on like daytime television, and they would be saying, oh, this is indicative of this patriarchal society. Whereas when it's called How to Date Men When You Hate Men, people are just kind of like, oh, that's funny. That's an interesting title. Maybe I'll buy that. It's more threatening.